Hi, my name is Mike. Thanks for joining me today on my channel, Technically Church, where I share over 20 years of experience in audio, video, lighting, and multimedia. You can always find out more on my website at technicallychurch.com. Let's jump in. Today I'm going to show you how to record lyrics in ProPresenter 7 when you're using Timecode. So I'm using ProPresenter 7 from Renewed Vision, and I'm using the Playback app from multitracks.com. So you could do this a variety of different ways. You could use Ableton. I believe you can use Loop Community, but I'm using Playback. So Playback is what we use for clicks and tracks for our band. So that can send out timecode. So I'm going to receive that in ProPresenter, and then I'm going to show you in this video specifically how to record each of your songs in timecode. So if you need to know what timecode is, or you need to know how to set up the basics, I'm not going to go over that in this video, but I do have two other videos I will link below on what timecode actually is, if you're not familiar, and how to set up the initial timecode linking between Playback and ProPresenter. So this video again is how to record the timecode in each song. So let's dig in. So I'm going to show you two ways to do this today. One is if you have your device that can play timecode. You can play timecode right into ProPresenter and record it with that timecode. Now you might not always have access to that device or be on your network. So in my case, I have Playback on one computer, I have ProPresenter on another computer, and we use a Dante network to get timecode in between. So I don't always have that Dante network if I'm at home or trying to set up. So I'm going to show you two ways. Again, one, if you do have that network set up and you have timecode available, and another backup way, if you don't have timecode in that moment, you can still program it and it'll work. So I'm going to show you both those ways. So the first way I'm going to show you is when you do have your timecode device. So I'm in Playback here, and we're going to be working with the song My Testimony by Elevation Worship. So real quick, I'm going to set up timecode. Again, I go over this in detail in a different video. So I'm going to set my timecode in Playback. I always start it right at the beginning of the timeline. And I'm just going to set it to 1 hour. I'm going to make another video as well that I'll link that explains kind of an organization way to organize all your songs in timecode as well. So you can check that out. All right, so I have timecode set up being sent over the 1 hour time. So when I press play on My Testimony, I should see it in ProPresenter. So we're going to go over to ProPresenter. I'm going to go to View Timecode and just make sure my settings are set right here and that my playlist is set. So ProPresenter will only read actually Playback timecode in one playlist at a time. So you do have to put all your timecode songs in one playlist. So I have that playlist set up here. So that's set up. So we're just going to do a quick test to make sure it's working. I'm going to go over to Playback and hit play and back to ProPresenter. And you can see that it's running timecode starting at the 1 hour. So we know that it's working. So I'm going to close this. And in My Testimony, we're going to open the timeline. So that's this little button here. If you hover over it, it says timeline. So we're going to click that. We're going to enable timecode and set it to 1 hour. So timecode is not currently running, so I'm going to double check again, go view timecode. I do have this to not engage, so if you click on this, you'll see now that it's playing. So if we go back here, you'll see the time bar is moving. So what's happening is it's reading timecode, and it's essentially saying this is where you're at in the song. All right, so we're going to go ahead and stop that real quick. All right, so the first step to recording timecode here in ProPresenter, we're going to make sure the timeline is at 0. We're going to uncheck enable timecode just for a second. We're going to hit record, and we're going to click on the first slide. So what that's going to do is it's just going to start the first slide right at 0. And you see that by default, it's filling the entire song with that slide. One other thing to note is the duration here is always going to default to 300 seconds. You'll want to make that the length of the song or longer, or else it won't work correctly. So I'm just going to make sure that's the length of the song. All right, so with record pressed here, we're going to re-enable timecode so it can read it. And then I'm going to jump over to Playback, hit play, and you'll see it moving, and then we're literally just going to play this in time. Click on each slide in time, and it'll record it. So I'll show you what happens here. We're going to jump over to Playback and hit play. All right, in ProPresenter, we can see the timeline is moving, and so we're recording. Time code is active, and I don't have my speakers on so that it doesn't cause a problem on YouTube, so you don't hear the song, but you would hear the song, obviously, if you were playing it. And at this point, you would literally just click in time. So you'll see what happens. You wait till the vamp is over. Now it's the intro. You click on intro, and you can see it's recording what I'm doing up here at the top. So as we go through, that's the intro, and now we're on verse 1. So verse 1, I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw darkness run for cover. Slide 2. So you're just going to click this in time as it's playing. All right, so let's pretend like that's done. I'm going to stop timecode. All right, let's go back to ProPresenter. So here is your song. You would have all your slides. So then you can obviously just play it back. And well, here's that last step. So you're still in record mode. So we're going to disable timecode. We're going to turn off record mode, and we're going to re-enable timecode. So now when you play it back, it'll actually play in time. And you could check if you made any mistakes. So if you do make mistakes, you can slide stuff around. So, you know, maybe the intro, oh, I queued the intro really late. So you just click on it and you can extend it and make that there. So you can make modifications. You don't have to redo the whole song if you mess it up. So once you play it back, then you'd be good to go. So obviously this is currently tied to 1 hour in time, but as far as the song is concerned, it'll always work. So you could change this time code number on both ends. You could change it in ProPresenter, you could change it in your Playback app, Ableton, whatever you're using, and it would still work because it's just a fake time. It's what's referencing the time. It'll always play back, if that makes sense. So that is the method. If you have your timecode device with you, that's how you record it. All right, so now let's talk how to do the same process when you don't have your timecode device available. So all you have to do is program it, as long as you're using the same version of the song, same arrangement, same tempo, everything. You know, if you have the same song as an MP3, we can drop that into ProPresenter. You can record the song, and then when you enable timecode later when you have your device, it will just play back and work. So I'll show you this process. So in ProPresenter here, we're going to work with Bless God by Cody Carnes. So you can see I have the song here. We're going to open the timeline just like we did before. You'll notice that nothing is programmed. So in this case, we're not going to enable timecode because we don't have that device available. So you would do that as a second step later. You would enable it and put in the actual time of this song in timecode. I am going to increase the duration because that's not going to be enough. And so what we're going to do is we just have to have an MP3 of the song that the way that we want to perform it and the way that we want to record it just need to match. So I have this MP3 here. I'm going to go ahead and drag it in. All right. So it drags it in, and you might think, well, I'll just drag this to the front of the timeline and program it. So the only thing you're missing is most playback devices, when you're using clicks and tracks, have a count in. So obviously that count in is not in this MP3. So we have to account for that. So what I'm going to do is in Playback, and one of the reasons that I do this with Playback is because in Playback you have to rent, or at least we do, we rent songs, and you only get them for 7 days. So if I want to record this song ahead of time, ahead of that 7 days, even if I have my Playback device available, I can't actually play it back. So that's one of the reasons why I do this method. So what we can do in Playback is we can add the song as just a clicking guide. So we're not going to be able to hear the song, but what we can do is get that count in value. So I will show you. So I'm just going to add this as a click and guide song in Playback and click done. So you see here, we've got the count in and the intro. So the MP3 is going to start right where that intro is. Okay. So I'm going to advance forward to the intro, and you see that it's at 6 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and position that MP3 at 6 seconds, and you'll know that it's going to start right when the song starts. So I'm going to jump back over to ProPresenter, and right there is 6 seconds. Boom. So we're going to start the actual song here. So this is the count in. You're just not going to hear it right now, but you will when you play your playback device. All right, so we got the MP3 dropped in here, and if I play this back, we're going to hear it. So I'm going to illustrate that in a second. Same process as before, we're just going to record and click. So I'm going to go ahead and click record, and then I'm going to hit play, and then I'm going to start clicking on the stuff. So before I hit play, I'm going to click on the first slide, so it starts right at 0. You're always going to want to start that first slide at 0. And now I'm going to hit play, and I'm just going to let this play just for a second so you can hear it. So it's playing. Here's the count in. We're playing and recording. And there you hear the beginning of the song. So I'm going to turn that down just so we don't have any YouTube problems here. And I'll do a few slides so you can see it. So there's the beginning of the song, so I'm going to go ahead and click on verse 1. There's the end of the slide, click on the next slide. So as you see, it's recording as I go. Next slide, it's recording, so I'm just playing from this MP3 and recording it in time. Here comes the start of the chorus. So there it is. All right, I'm going to hit stop, and then I'm going to disable the recording. So you would just go through the entire song and do that, and then again later on when you decide that okay, this is ready to go, I have my playback device ready, I've got timecode ready, I'm going to assign maybe 2 hours in time to this song. All I have to do is go into ProPresenter, type 2 hours right there, and enable timecode, and as soon as I play back my playback device with timecode, it'll just run. So that's both of ways of recording timecode. When you do or don't have the actual timecode to play into ProPresenter, you can do it either way. It's pretty cool, and then you can have it all ready. A few pointers on timecode while we're here, just so you're aware. So when you're recording, pressing these slides, it will actually record actions that are on the slides. So I would recommend that if you use macros, if you use actions, if you use motion backgrounds, all that maybe you would have on your first slide. I would recommend you don't have that on the slide when you record, because it will record that into the timecode recording. And then later on you might get confused, because if you want to change that motion background or if you want to change that macro, you could change it on the slide and nothing will happen when you play back in timecode. It'll actually play your old motion background, your old macro, because it's saved in that first cue. So if that were to ever happen to you, what I've done is I've cleared off, if I've already recorded it, I've cleared everything off of the first slide. All you do is manually just delete this first cue. So here's, I'll illustrate it. I'm going to disable timecode, take my timeline back to the beginning. I'm going to delete Q1. It's going to hold everything else in there, you can see. And then I'm just going to hit record and click on Q1 again to add it back in. So that's going to re-record just Q1 without the actions. So really the way that this is designed is up here, here's your timeline, is you can actually put motion backgrounds on this timeline, and you can actually put macros on this timeline. So I'll illustrate. I'm going to use my worship macro, and I'm going to drag it up here. So you see it added the macro right there, and then you can slide it where you want it. So I'm going to put that at the beginning. And then maybe I want a motion background on here. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to drag that motion background in. And I would drag that over to the front. So that's actually how it's meant to be. And then if you want to change it, you would just change it up here. If you run it manually, it will work because you're clicking on the slide. But when timecode does it, timecode's not actually clicking on the slide. Timecode is running that recorded timeline. So that's a very important pointer there. And no matter how you're going to do the song, you're going to want to record timecode to the full song, especially when you're using playback. So playback has a feature in there, and I have a video specifically on this called Follow Default Arrangement. So if you record this song in time fully, the way the artist did it, you can actually modify then afterwards. You can modify the arrangement in playback. You can say, I want to add a bridge, I want to take away a chorus, and you check that Follow Default Arrangement button, and it will actually adjust timecode for you. It'll jump timecode around, which will jump it around in ProPresenter, and it will actually play correctly. So it's a great feature. It means you don't have to re-record timecode every time you want to make an arrangement change. if you're sharing this with other bands that do it differently, it always just works. So those are a couple pointers with Timecode, and just remember that Timecode and ProPresenter can only play back from one playlist. So you can't have multiple playlists with multiple songs in them and use Timecode across them all at once. Feel free and check out my other videos on Timecode, how to set it up, and also how to organize it. So that's a real important thing I'm going to jump into if you want to check out that video. Thanks for joining me today. Again, my name is Mike. You can always find out more on my website, technicallychurch.com, or on my YouTube channel, Technically Church. Look forward to seeing you soon.